Hello everybody, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. For today's video, well, the title of this video is Twin Flames, the price of love is worth it as you are working in eternity. So when your union comes in, there's going to be a period of grounding into the new frequency together. And don't worry if that involves a little bit of fighting, a little bit of conflict. There's a process to moving into that higher frequency. It's okay to be disciplined and take the space required to have that foundation with boundaries and discipline so that your twin flame can come alive. Without discipline, both can become unbalanced. Both have a say in how the boundaries are laid out. Hold space for each other and find your own rhythm. It's safe to receive them. You don't have to do or provide anything. Your worthiness of love draws love in for you, causes you to give love. It's safe to give and receive love. It's safe to receive communication. It may trigger some trauma, and it's okay to receive dialogue. It's important to be able to communicate with them. Okay, this is what I stand for, this is what I'm aware of. It's okay to have a dialogue there with your twin flame. And there will be conflict, so don't worry about it. It's not a bad thing. It's part of sorting things out. Usually in a relationship, conflict means atrocity. So we shore up our feelings. We don't share our feelings, but don't avoid conflict with your twin flame. The rhetorical question is, how do I act in this way and not fear conflict? We avoid it because it's difficult. It's not enjoyable at face value. It's a challenge, but we don't fear it because it's a natural part of communication. It's a natural part of getting clear and sorting stuff out. And you'll learn in your relationship over the months and the years and the decades to minimize it, but don't fear it. If you hold back feelings, you'll build resentments. If you're afraid of communicating, you will never really meet. Don't take anything personally. It's often a trauma or a trigger coming up, and you'll move into peaceful passion and be passionate about discipline. You spent a lot of time living this life, and the results are going to show. The result is seeing how loved you are in every single aspect of your being. It's extremely deep and perfect. And who gets you there? You, loved. That's how. Not failing to love at any point. There'll be a lot of appreciation for receiving all this love in such a peaceful way. Harmonious twin flame union doesn't have to be hard. You can always come back to the truth that only love is real. At the end of your experience, you get to see yourself completely. And the result of that is love in your life. Love unconditionally and enter deeper into love through the challenges and the upsets. Trust that you're being safely loved. It's safe to receive love. Do you think that God feels any differently in relationship with him when you choose to love him? He feels safe when you prove to him that you love him. It's safe to let this be a process of opening and a process of growth, an expansion of feeling deeper love and union with the divine. Follow the steps, they're simple and easy. Always say yes to love and to the divine, even if it feels challenging. Feel through everything, take responsibility, feel your feelings. It's very important to feel your feelings. Feel your feelings through, don't project. You'll be helped to find places in yourself that you didn't know existed. Growing into your true self every step of the way. You're achieving what most can't believe is possible. You're achieving that reality through loving and doing the inner work. Always learning and growing. You don't have to be perfect. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Allow yourself to learn and grow. Learning the price of love, what it costs to be loved in your life and why. I want to talk about a twin flame couple I know who went through the ringer when he taught her how to drive and gave her driving lessons, Jeff and Shalia. She didn't get her driver's license till her mid-30s because she hadn't had a supportive and loving family to help her through it. There was an extraordinary lack of love all the way up the ancestral chain. We can choose to do something with that pain and trauma that we inherited from our ancestors. All of us have this. It's not that our parents were dicks or anything. Their parents acted in the same way. The Bible refers to this as the original sin. Trauma that is continued to be passed on. Separation from the divine passed down. We can't expect our parents to heal all the traumas that they endured in life. A good person is willing to recognise all the shit and wants their children to have a better life. How they do marks out who they are. Most want to do better for their children. Excuse me. If a parent didn't have a load of cool toys, for example, and they want their kids to have a lot of cool toys, it's fairly meaningless. It's meaningful when they attempt to heal family trauma. If your parents grew up with shit, you can appreciate them for putting you in a better financial position. If they sacrificed family love to have money, nothing's really healed. If they sacrificed their career to spend time with their kids, nothing's really healed. These traumas are no small matter. When Jeff was teaching Shalia how to drive, it was rooted in something more meaningful. She was unable to get her driver's license when she was young, and to get it now, they really had to heal all this family trauma that the driving lessons brought up, and recognise what it was. A sense of lack stemming from a sense of separation from the divine. If parents genuinely heal this, they deserve to be appreciated highly. Someone who intentionally passes on trauma, they're a poor, unloving person on the way down. If it's passed on to you, will you heal it? Will you love or not? The price of love is exquisitely high. There's twin flame talkers out there who say that twin flame love is only for the gods, and most people shouldn't aspire to it. But that's what you become when you love. That's all a god is, a loving person. Only a god can have love. All else fades into time. The cost of love is high. I know another twin flame couple that recently came into union. In fact, I know loads of twin flame couples that recently came into union. Watch this space. With this particular couple, I saw what they had to go through. If you don't see yourself as an eternal being, it's not worth it. If you live in time, it's meaningless because of how expensive it is. It's worth it in time too, really, but it's a whole lot harder than ignoring the trauma because you have to face it. In eternity, it becomes a lot more worth it. If you recognise the real cost of love, you can make an assessment of whether you're ready to pay it. When Jeff taught Shalia how to drive, she was very unsafe. He had nightmares about her getting the both of them killed. He didn't feel like his wife or his property were secure. He felt like all his good was in the car. The danger level was huge, but he had to go through this experience for love. It was brutal, and this was because of the degree of trauma that she was facing, that this was bringing up. Every time he told her to brake, she'd start screaming at him because what she was hearing was like, you're trying to rob me, you're trying to murder my divinity and I feel unsafe. She didn't recognise that she was being loved, that he saw that she was an unsafe driver and who needed a lot of help, but that was okay. It took years of building up to the point where she could get in the car, and then it took years of processing feelings, doing the inner work and healing the ability to drive, healing to be able to drive. After a long hard day at work, she dragged him out for a 2-hour drive. What she had to go through for this tiny thing. Her family gave her trauma and abuse and insecurity. And to help and love her, he had to stand in all of that with her. He had to trust their lives were in God's hands. He had to trust that she would not murder the both of them, but that she was a divine being and not a total idiot, even if it appeared to him in every way that she'd kill them. It was savage. It was no fun at all. There was nothing enjoyable about it, but he had to have faith that they'd get through this one day. It would mean freedom and independence for her. She'd be able to provide for their kids one day. And it meant security and safety. And these were the things he was facing down. It was a fucking ordeal. And they're still not fully through it. And like the twin flame couple that I mentioned who've just come into union, they've got their licence. Shalia got her licence. All this work, all this dealing with this brutal fuckery, this insane brutality, is because of what it means. The decision to know you're worth it. It's worth pursuing that for you. All of that had to be dealt with. It would have been easier to just not bother. But he chose to love himself there, and it opened a whole brand new can of worms. The relationship started feeling really bad. There was heartache. He couldn't feel the relationship, just trauma and pain in his heart for days, and he was able to heal it with the mirror exercise and by having faith to know the divine was loving and guiding, and he would make it through. He knew that an inept idiot wasn't what she was. Each layer of trauma healed represents something permanent in love, working in eternity. This is what love really costs. This is what it means. Excuse me. Facing trauma, loving it, healing it, have loving compassion and patience with yourself as you go through it. She needed to feel supported in the relationship. Her parental support ended because it was conditional. Jeff had to be a father to her. So the point wasn't, as applies to all twin flames, it wasn't why are you being an inept idiot, but I'm going to love you. You need this to heal. I'll be there to stand by you and support you and not care how hard you make it for me or how much you try to make me pay for loving you. I'm just going to love you without condition and stand by you and sit with you and love you until this heals, no matter what it is. This is my commitment to you. And while she worked through her biggest trauma, abandonment, where he felt abandoned, he had to face that and love her there. He had to face down the pain where the places where we were not loved. We have to go there again and be loved there again. Maybe layer by layer, the mind protects itself. She avoided him because she didn't want the relationship to end. When her father was no longer forced to support her, the relationship ended. So Jeff had to parent the child in her. Self-respect was very important. Not to give her what she no longer needed, as she'd achieved what she needed from him. She could drive. He set her free to drive. Another part of love is the setting free. That's what twin flame love is. Receiving unconditional love, loving them completely through the entire process, letting them go there so they can be free. She got loved by him all the way through. He expected nothing in return, but he hoped she'd let him love her, and she hoped she'd love him. He hoped for all of this. He loved her completely, and when the cycle was complete, she was revealed as loving. In the end, both experienced enormous love. You don't get through with control and force. It's not when you decide, it's when the divine decides. This is the end result. This is the price of love. This is what love is. I know what he feels for her. To experience this level of love from your twin flame takes work, brutality, every day to experience that kind of love. It's not easy. It's high cost. We pay it. Respect your peers for what they're going through. Have compassion and patience for them. When you heal, no matter what, you reap the benefit. It's the hardest thing you can do. Face down your darkest fears and traumas and meet God there. Jeff was very aware that all his good was at stake here. All his good was hanging in the balance, on the line. He had to go through the experience of worrying that he might lose it, but it was in the background anyway, so it might as well be dealt with. There's no block to your highest dreams that won't topple in the face of love. All you need to do is love. It's a high price that calls forth all of you. The benefits are exquisite in time, but they're infinite in eternity. Super! Well, I really hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.